Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel, and in today's video we're going to be discussing whether you should buy a high mileage Volvo. Now I'm going to start this video off by saying this car is at 92,000 miles. I don't consider this particularly high mileage at all. Not when you consider how many miles Volvos can actually go for. So Volvos are known sort of across the internet and sort of online YouTube space for being just workhorses really. They are something that just keeps going forever. They are really well built, they're solid, and they're fairly reliable, to be honest. But in this video, I talk about whether you should actually buy one, because it's all well and good buying a high mileage Volvo, but is it worth it? If so, then what are the benefits of doing so? So let's get into it nice and simple. So like I said, this is my 2009 Volvo S80 D5. It's 92,000 miles, so I'd say it's barely run in. There's a common joke on the Volvo forums that this sort of mileage is barely run in. Volvos themselves are built for long distance cruising. The V70 launched in the late 90s. The S80 also launched at the same time, and the previous Volvos before that were known for their capabilities of travelling serious miles in serious comfort, and that's why you find a lot of Volvos now have quite high mileages. In terms of the best engines to go for to get these high mileages, well, ask any Volvo expert and they'll tell you that the D5 is the engine to go for getting high mileages, and it will be the engine to buy if you're buying a high mileage Volvo. Now the petrol engines such as the T5s, the 2.3s, and various other variants of the petrol engines, they can have issues, especially in sort of the early noughties models of cylinder walls cracking, etc. But the D5 is, well, it's just legendary, to be honest, in terms of its reliability and bulletproofness, if that's even a word. There's lots of different variations, starting from a 2.4D, which is basically a detuned version of the D5, or you have the 163 brake horsepower Euro 3 engines that go all the way up to the now more modern, well, now 2 litres, but I would go for the 5-cylinder diesels. In terms of other components, suspension, everything like that, Volvos tend to be built in a much more substantial way than other cars, where manufacturers have perhaps thinned out things such as front wings. Say here on this BMW, they're quite sort of, well, you can actually see it bending, whereas if I did that on the Volvo, there's no movement in that at all. And it's things like this that mean that Volvos are able to achieve high mileages fairly easily. As an ownership prospect, a high mileage Volvo is no different to a medium mileage BMW or even a low mileage BMW. There are obviously certain things that may be more worn, such as suspension and components like that, but the main thing about these Volvos is that they're so cheap that you can afford to have those things done. Now, my Volvo S80 I bought at auction for £1,500 at the start of the year, extremely cheap, and I have had a few bits done to it. I've had to replace the front bumper because that was damaged, and a rear shock absorber because that was on its way out, but actually really I haven't spent that much on it. Now, in terms of what these cars are like to live with on a daily basis, well, I've covered this at length on this YouTube channel. These are perhaps one of the most comfortable cars or manufacture of cars ever made. The Volvo seats are designed by ergonomic spinal surgeons, and yeah, you can tell because the comfort level in these cars is absolutely unbelievable. In terms of the interior quality, well, Volvos are pretty much the same as any other car. The leather can sometimes sort of fade and crack, but you'd expect that in any sort of high mileage car. But in terms of controls, you'll see all of the controls here, none of those have worn off. We don't have any wear on the stalks or anything like that, and the steering wheel itself is in fairly good condition. Now, I have seen older models which do have some wear, but yeah, they are Very, very well built in the inside as well. So yeah, guys, to be honest, in terms of whether you should buy a high mileage Volvo or not, I would go for it. Compared to any other car manufacturer, you are going to do very well indeed. There's a lot less to worry about with them. They can handle high mileages. There's a chap I follow on Instagram. His Volvo S80, like this one, has over 400,000 miles on it. There's a chap I recently read in a paper who had bought a 2004, I think it was, Volvo V70 for £400. Had 167,000 miles on it. He works as a taxi driver, and it now has over 600,000 miles on it, that car. The only thing he's had to have done is have a new gearbox in it. So that says enough, I think, about how sort of brilliant these cars are in terms of high mileage heroes. They are designed and built, they're sort of on level with the W211 Mercedes E-Class in terms of their longevity. So if you've got a Volvo, or you're looking to buy a Volvo that's on 150,000 miles or so, with the right care you can make that car last much, much longer. So don't worry about it if it's high mileage. Now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. If you've got any other suggestions for whether you should buy a high mileage Volvo or not, let me know in the comments below. And I'd also really like to see what your guys is, or what's the highest mileage Volvo we have in the comment section. It'd be really good to see, and I'll pin the highest one for everyone else to see. But yeah, from me, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.